Every life has a story, and every story is worth sharing. Your story, my story, and our story speak of victory and defeat, joy and sorrow, resilience and vulnerability. They are not just our story, they are Christ's story in us. They are Kingdom Stories from Down Under.
Last week, the Lord led me to walk into a cafe and also next door to it into a ministry. And I heard wonderful things both about the cafe and the pantry next door. And I didn't know much about it. And in there, I met a really beautiful soul, a champion who has a heart to see this city blessed, and many families and individuals who are struggling to make ends meet, to make sure that they have food on their table. I was touched by the ministry, but I was touched by the heart of this beautiful lady. And tonight, with me in the studio, we have the privilege of having Bev Woolhouse. Bev, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's interesting, we do so much in the city, and I'm sure we've crossed paths before somewhere, but somehow we avoided each other. You know what I mean? It's like, but the moment we saw each other, we connected powerfully in the spirit, and it was a joy to see what you were doing there, and we'll get to that a bit later. But it was a joy for me to see that you were doing it extremely well, not just doing it. I've seen people do a lot of things, not with excellence, because it's charity.
Yeah.
Whereas you're doing charity with excellence.
Oh, thank you.
Which is impressive. But let's wind the clock back a little bit, just a few years.
Not too far.
Just a few years. Born in Perth?
I was, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Your parents, where are they from? Are they English?
My father was Irish and my mother was English.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty
Did they come
dysfunctional.
out, or their parents?
Their parents, yeah.
Okay, so a few generations.
That's right, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you were born in Perth?
I was born in Perth, pretty dysfunctional family, like a lot of people.
Alcohol? Or?
Yeah, alcohol. So they were both alcoholics, and then Dad left when I was 8, and so that left room for to be sexually abused by a man who lived in our street. So it was like a childhood that you wouldn't want, but who now I know. I hear so many stories, and so many people have had the same things happening. So I think it's a news story, but it's a story that you have to deal with as you're growing up, and tends to lead you on all different strange areas.
How many siblings?
3, yeah.
Younger, older?
I'm the youngest. Yeah.
You're the youngest.
Yeah.
What area did you grow up in?
Victoria Park.
Big Park.
Yeah.
And Mum, difficult to deal with all this that was happening to her?
She just couldn't cope. She'd had a difficult life herself. As we know, it sort of goes in generations.
Were they married?
They were married.
They were actually married, yeah.
They were, yeah.
And when you were 8, he left, and he left for good? Or he would come and visit?
No, he sort of left for good, yeah. He ran off with someone else at the time. Yeah.
Do you have good memories of him being around?
No, not really.
Like playing or taking you out?
No.
Just
a
lot of hard punishment, tough?
He was unemotional. He couldn't show emotion. I'm sure deep down he did love us.
Of course.
But he just didn't know how to show it. So it came out in pretty dysfunctional ways. Yeah. We made it up when he was dying.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so before he died, we got it all together, and he gave his heart to Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a good finish.
Good ending, yeah.
And then you had some traumatic experiences with a neighbour?
Yeah, which from 8 to 12. So yeah, that was pretty.
He took advantage of the fact that
Dad wasn't home. Yeah.
With all of you?
No, just me. Other sisters had different things happen, but with the neighbour, it was just me. Yeah.
And your mum, was she aware of it or not?
Not until she was 75. And I had.
So you kept it quiet?
I did, because I think we all sort of now I understand it a bit better. I sort of understand that for some reason we think it's our fault.
Yeah.
And we think we deserve it. And, I've obviously, since I became a Christian, and I've dealt with all of that. But at the time, I just sort of, and it's also I didn't want to worry her because she had enough problems going on. So all sorts of reasons.
So how did they eventually stop at 12?
I don't think you want to know.
No, it's because it's interesting because
Yeah.
sometimes these things don't stop unless, they get in trouble, like they get found out.
I went into his house. I broke into his house and I smashed up everything in his house. And then I thought, well, if you call the police, I might have them tell them something as well.
Yeah.
No word was ever said. Nothing happened, and he stopped it.
So you actually stood up.
I did. Yeah. I did.
That must have felt empowering.
It did at the time. I mean, I think I was really scared and everything else at the time, but it had to stop, and I knew I was the only one who's going to be able to do it. Yeah.
Wow. Did that affect you at school, and or were you still managing things all right?
No, it affected my whole life really until I actually became a Christian. Yeah.
So what, let's say later on in life, when you came, let's say in your 17, 18, 19, when you were dating?
There was an issue. I also had an alcohol problem. I started drinking when I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when you start drinking at 13, you don't care much about yourself.
It opens the door to everything else.
It does, and it did. And so sort of had a pretty... I couldn't have relationships with people. Just nothing seemed to work out. I sort of had a bit of a problem knowing how to work relationships. I didn't know how to love because I hadn't really been shown love. So it was one of those upbringings that you sort of guess your way through it and hope it's going to turn out okay.
Did you finish school?
I did. I went to in those days I was 17. It was called a leaving. I did my leaving, and
Year 12.
Year 12, and I passed that, and then I decided to become a nurse.
Was it easy school for you, or was it a struggle?
It was actually. I could do the work.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed actually doing the work, and I enjoyed studying. I think my biggest struggle was the fact that I was trying to cope with drinking and studying,
Hiding it,
and
obviously.
having a dysfunctional mother. And
were you having friends? Were you building some relationship with girls?
I did have friends, but they were, you hang around with people
Yeah.
that you're familiar with, and so I hung around girls that were similar to me, so that it felt familiar and felt comfortable. Yeah.
And mum wasn't altogether to handle you in any way?
No.
So you basically were pretty much on your own?
Yeah, from the time I was 13, I could go out and do whatever I wanted.
Just there was a home to come back to and food, and that was it.
Yeah, yeah.
And your older sister, how was she doing?
How they're doing now?
No, how was she doing in that time? She was doing her own
thing. They
thing.
were older than me, so they sort of left home really quickly.
Big gap.
Yeah, there was a big gap.
So there's 3 of you.
Yes, so there was a big gap. So they sort of they left home a lot earlier than me, so I sort of stuck at home.
Were they keeping in touch? Were they coming home?
They were coming home and things like that, but it wasn't a place that you really wanted to come home to. So we sort of drifted apart. My elder sister got pregnant and got married, and then my other sister married someone she didn't really love, and you can just see a pattern.
Messy.
Just messy, and you see the pattern. Now I can see the pattern. Yeah.
Hindsight. Spiritual hindsight.
Yeah.
And so you went to nursing school?
Yeah, I did. I did 4 years.
So you did register nurse?
Yes, I did. And then as soon as I registered, I knew I didn't want to do that anymore.
After all that tough.
It was that whole thing of, when you're unstable.
Yeah.
You don't fit anywhere.
It's amazing that you did finish, though.
Yeah, I did, because I'm determined.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to, if I start something, I like to finish it. But I realised that I didn't want to nurse. I didn't have the compassion or the heart for it. which is surprising.
I wouldn't have guessed.
And so then I just went off and I did, you know, a whole pile of different other things. I did dental nursing. I just drifted from one job to another, and then I had a bit of a mental breakdown, and I was in a mental hospital for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a hospital that we weren't allowed to have any drugs. We had to, not even a Panadol.
Cold turkey.
Yeah, and we did a lot of therapy. So it was a lot of, you know, really facing problems and, you know, trying to work things out.
Was that bad, or in a way that was good?
It was good.
Yeah.
You know, I had been suicidal.
A lot of healing.
Yeah, well, I had been suicidal, and that's what got me into the hospital. And luckily I had a great psychologist at the time, and we worked through it all. And by that time I had actually got married and had a baby, and the baby was in the hospital with me.
Oh.
Yes, Brooke.
Yeah, that's fine.
So she was actually in hospital with me, and so that was great. And we just.
So your husband, how did you meet him?
I just met him sort of on a blind date. Yeah, but yeah, that.
And you got married?
I did. Yes. Yes.
Were you understanding love at the time, or still very, very?
Very vague.
It's just.
Yeah.
Was he drinking as well?
No, he didn't actually drink that much. I was still drinking. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he didn't mind?
I was functional. I was pretty functional. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you could at least keep it together.
Yeah, I think I kept it together really well.
So what? So you had Brooke. Was it postnatal depression that triggered?
No, not really. It was just. I wouldn't say it was postnatal depression as such. I think it was just a build-up of all the years and still feeling inadequate, feeling like now I have a child and nothing had changed. You know, I felt like I had my back against the wall a little bit, and I wasn't getting along with my husband at the time, and it was stressful. And so I think I just thought it might be easy not to be around. And yeah, so I ended up in hospital.
Did you check yourself in, or did you attempt?
No, my psychologist put me in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you went with it?
I did. I tried to escape.
Yeah.
But after a few days, I just realised that I needed help. And so I actually...
And it was great that they allowed the baby to be with you.
Yeah, she was with me, yeah. So she'd go off on weekends to see her dad, but she actually stayed the time with me. So she would do all the therapy sessions with me. And
she was just a baby. So.
She was 2. Yeah. And it wasn't like... It was just like talking and, you know, sort of releasing emotions, which she'd often just fall asleep. Yeah, so...
Well, you'd become more peaceful while you're releasing all those toxic emotions.
That's right, yeah.
And you felt that you were coming out of that darkness in that time?
I did, yeah. Mm-hmm. I could see, I knew that it was time for me to move on. It was time, we sort of, you know, it was a... the community would release you, actually, not the psychologist. And I just knew it was time to leave, and I just thought, you know, what am I going to do for money? So I decided to go and learn how to teach aerobics. Wow. So I got my certificate, and I found a hall, and I hired a hall, and started teaching aerobics.
Entrepreneur.
16 times a week. And
wow.
Yeah.
So you built up a business?
I did. I built up, and it was $2 coins, and I go home with a big basket of $2 coins, and but that helped pay my rent. And
well, it wasn't like Facebook was around or any other marketing. So
no.
how did you find your clients? Did you advertise in the paper?
Not really. It was just word of mouth. I just it was in Belmont actually, and it just grew and just kept on growing, and it was
good
amazing.
Value.
It was. It was, and I enjoyed it. And then,
so you must have been good at it as well.
I was. I think once again, you know, that when you're driven, you want to be the best at what you do. So, I did.
So when you came out of the hospital, you went back to your husband?
No, by that time we'd separated, and we'd gone our separate ways, and I had Brooke, and we were just trying to work it out. But then he decided that he sort of didn't want to see her for quite a while, so he sort of for 4 years Brooke wasn't in his life.
For how long? 4 years.
Yeah. And so I just managed being a single mum, and just did what I had to do. Yeah.
Wow. So what happened next? So you're doing your
and then I was renting a house in Inglewood then by the stage, and we went past a building. There's a little shop next to this building, and I went in. It was owned by the bank, so I went into the bank and I said, "Oh, what's happening with that little building?" And they said, "Oh, nothing." And I said, "Oh, could I rent it for $100 a week?" And they said yes. I mean, it was just weird, and they said yes. And I said, "Okay then." So I decided to start up a recycled shop.
mm-hmm.
And
Clothing?
Yeah, clothing. So I just started up this, and well, it went just crazy. It was just like unbelievable. And
Bit of hip hop, Inglewood, Melody, Highgate.
it was just insane. And people were bringing their clothes, and I was recycling them, and it was just going really, really well.
Are you good at sewing as well? Could
No,
you
I
do
couldn't do
alterations
anything.
or anything?
No, I couldn't do anything.
Just wash and
I
iron.
can't even cook. To this very day, I don't cook. But yeah, it just went well, and then that's when I got into New Age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the boutique actually became clothing, but it also became very
crystals, the whole lot.
Crystals, and I at the time I had an ability. If people came and left me their jewelry, I was able to tell them. Yeah, so I did it for free. I thought I was doing this fantastic thing for free, and at the end of every message I'd give someone, I'd put, God bless, God loves you. Enemy's a funny thing, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I felt like I was doing something really fantastic. And then it was only when I'd had that for about 5 years, the boutique, and it was going really well. And then it
were you reading stuff on New Age? Were you consuming?
Oh, I was absolutely consumed by it.
Okay,
yeah,
so you were reading, you were listening, tapes, everything.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sucked into that world.
Absolutely. Then I met my now husband. I sucked him into it as well, and we started New Age at the markets. We had New Age shops all at markets, and we ended up with about 3 New Age shops. And it wasn't a nice time in my life, though. I actually felt quite, I don't know, if the word was dark, and depression started coming back, and I just didn't feel good about myself anymore. And I just thought, oh no, it's happening again. It's, I'm going downhill quickly. And then a girl came into my shop, and she had a brochure, and she just put the brochure on the desk, and I just quickly glanced at it, and I thought I read, come and find your spirit guides, discover your spirit guides. And if you know anything about New Age, it's a bit crazy, but I thought, oh, spirit guides, I've only got an Indian and a nun. I might go get some more.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I went off to this place, and it was, I don't know, it was Riverview Church. It was called Rama at the time, yeah. So I went in there, and I went into this room. There's all these people sitting down, and I went in there, and anyway, this man's talking, and they're saying, oh, welcome to discover your the Holy Spirit, the gifts of the Holy Spirit. And I said to the lady,
that was not in the brochure.
Said to the lady next to me, oh, I thought it was my spirit guides. I think I might be in the wrong room. And she just looked me dead in the eye, and she said, I think you're in the right room. So anyway, I sat there and I listened, and I thought, oh, for goodness sake, when's this going to end? I want to get out of here. And
how did I end up here?
So
this is a cult.
I know, it was just so really weird, and that's exactly what I felt. I felt like this is some weirdo place, So.
I am weird, but these guys are worse than me.
Oh, it was so funny. Then I went back, and the girl who left the brochure there, she said, oh, did you go to it? And I go, yeah. I said, but I went to find my spirit guides, and I said, they're talking about the Holy Spirit. And she said to me, I think what you should do is, why don't you come and meet my friend? He's a pastor, and, come over to my house for dinner. So, I went over there, and this guy's name is Pastor Rick Lund, who's a good friend now. And he said to me, you're not talking to God. I said, yes, I am, because he says, God bless everyone and God loves you and stuff like that. He said, there's a counterfeit. It's called the devil, and you're speaking straight to the devil.
Wow.
And I was like in shock. Like, I said, no, I'm not. And he said, you are, but something inside me clicked. And I just knew, like, I knew that he was right.
Yeah.
And he said, do you feel like you want to give your life to Jesus? And I said, yes, straight away, no hesitation. And yes, I just gave my life to Jesus. And that was about 26 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
At that dinner table.
Yeah. And it was a battle because of the world I'd been in. They don't sort of like to let you go.
No, there's a fight. And
It was
there's
a
a
bit
lot
of a
of gripping.
fight. Yeah, it was a bit traumatic, but he would just say to me, just plead the blood of Jesus, plead the blood of Jesus. So I was walking around the house, it was like saying, and I didn't even know what to say, so I was saying, blood of Jesus, Jesus, blood everywhere. And,
but it worked. Well, everything else worked new age. Surely this was going to work.
So true, it just worked, and I just felt this peace would come over me, and then it was just a matter of just moving forward.
Wow. And what happened with, so how old was Bev by now? Brooke, sorry,
yeah,
10, 12?
She was about 10, and she was actually, unfortunately, I got her involved in all of that. I'd had shamans coming around to the house and doing all sorts of stuff, and she got involved in all of that, which was pretty horrible for her. But once I became a Christian, I asked her to go to Riverview with me, and she did. And you know what? I know she was about 15 then.
Okay.
And she, she'd have her arms crossed, and I was thinking, oh, this isn't going well. And anyway, but a friend of hers just asked her about 2 weeks later to go to Victory Life.
Yeah.
She went and she got saved.
Wow.
And then she came home and she said, I don't want to do, she was doing journalism. She wanted to go and do journalism at uni.
Yeah.
And she said, I'm going to Bible school.
Wow.
And it was like, and then my son became a Christian.
What about your new husband?
My new husband, because we were living together. So we weren't married.
Oh, you weren't married, yeah.
Yeah, we were living together. And I said, if you don't marry me, we have to go our separate ways. Because if Rick told me to do whatever, Rick told me I had to get rid of all the new age things. I did. Yeah. Rick said to me, you've got to get rid of Anthony. If you won't marry, you have to get rid of him. So I just said to Anthony, if you don't marry me, you have to go. And he goes, oh, because he's 8 years younger than me. Oh. So he was only a baby. So he goes, oh, okay then, I'll marry you. So, and now we've been together for something like 30 years or something. But he said, yeah, okay, then I'll marry you. And then he became a Christian before we got married. And
wow.
Yeah, so
you were the stumbling block for your family. God had to take the strong man of the house first.
Yeah, so it was it's quite a miracle.
But it was real. For you, it was real. You knew. Because you knew the darkness, now you saw the light.
Absolutely. It was...
you felt the release, you knew this was God.
I just felt totally different from the inside out. I felt lighter. I felt I had a friend for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Rick said he's your friend, and, the Holy Spirit, you can talk to him, and I've never had that. So it was like I had a best friend.
Wow.
And I just would talk to him all the time, because it was just, I thought everyone did that. Yeah. It was only as I got to be an older Christian that people said they don't actually talk to Jesus like that. So I guess having come from that new age, I looked at things a lot differently. Yeah.
Beautiful. So did Brooke come back to Riverview, or did she stay at
No, she stayed at Victory Life. Yeah, and it was at Victory Life that she actually met Dan. Or they were at a conference and they met each other. And nice. So... Yeah.
And what were you doing? Were you still nursing, or you never did nursing?
No, I never did nursing after. I just started my own businesses all the time. So I was just...
So after the New Age shop, what did you do once you got rid of all
I kept the boutique. So I got rid of all it. So I just kept the boutique. Yeah, and I just made it into new clothing and changed it. I mean, people in the neighbourhood must have thought I was an absolute weirdo one day.
Weird one day, weirder the next. Bible verses.
And it was so funny because every day I'd be reading the Bible, so I had the Bible on so I'd gone from one extreme to the other.
You lost a few clients, for sure.
I did. I lost a lot of friends.
Yeah.
I did lose a lot of friends, yeah.
And some
Yeah.
jewellery.
Yeah. So yeah, I just kept on doing that, and then I just got involved in a few other types of different businesses, and yeah.
Making money wasn't difficult for you.
Not. I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit,
Yeah.
and I've always sought to do things that people didn't do. And after the boutique, I went and worked in a funeral home, and that was interesting.
But you had the work ethics. You were putting in the hours and the time and the energy.
Oh, absolutely. So when I was working for the funeral home, a job came up, and everyone said, "Don't take that job. It's the worst job ever. No one makes any money." And I just felt like,
In the funeral homes?
yeah, and it was, it was selling prepaid funerals to people. And anyway, I just genuinely loved it, and I just genuinely loved the fact that I was helping people put their plans,
I don't think it's hard to sell that. I think it's quite easy to sell that.
Well, it wasn't. Everyone said that's, and I just felt like,
Oh, it's like real estate.
oh, well, it is.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, it is. That's what they're buying.
You're buying a plot. I mean, that's the biggest expense.
Yeah, and they were saving so much money because
They were.
Because the prices go up,
And it makes them think about their death. You're actually ministering to them.
It was. I mean, it was, and I mean, in some cases, because I was a Christian, when I went into their house and they're having issues with or hadn't talked to their daughter for 10 or 15 years, I actually talked to them about that, and often, we would talk about forgiveness and what that might mean, and so. And I did particularly well at it financially. I was the highest paid consultant in the whole of Australia.
Wow. It was commission based, was it?
It was. And but I also worked at night. When people died, I'd go and take them into our care. So I worked all day and all night. And then...
Oh, you did develop some skills.
I did. And then one day I was driving down the street with my partner. We were going to pick up someone who passed away. And I saw a shop. In the van. I saw a shop. And
silver van.
Yeah. And we went to Murdoch Hospital, and there was a magazine there, and it had this machine there. It was called a vibrogym, and it was about how when the astronauts come from space, they lose all their muscle tone, so they have to have these machines. They'd get onto these machines. They're in Germany, and they get onto these machines, and it would rebuild their muscle tone.
Just shakes you.
Yeah, and they're $27,000 each
at the time.
Yeah, at the time. And anyway, I got home. I said to my husband, "I think I'm going to buy one of those vibrogyms." And then I said, "You know what? I saw a building down the road." I said, "I think I'm going to start a gym, and I'm going to get all these vibrogyms."
Yeah.
So I did.
Disruptive technology.
So I was the first person in Australia to have all these
vibrators, full size, shaking machines.
Yeah. And they were the best thing. I mean, we just attracted so many people.
But they were brilliant. They were actually working.
They actually worked. I mean, we trained people. So we had to train people, and it was hard work. So I had my job as a consultant, my job, helping to pick up people who passed away. And then I had the gym as well. So I was like working like 24/7.
That's very courageous, because the capital investment would have been quite substantial.
It was, and it was a risk.
Did they give you terms? Could you buy higher than? No, you had to buy them up front.
No, my husband's really good like that. He said, "If you think you can see it working," I said, "I just will work. I'll make it work." And
You'll make it work.
Yeah, and then he actually quit his job, and he came and did the training as well, and so we sort of built that up together. Yeah.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
And Brooke met Dan.
Brooke met Dan. They got married. Yes.
You didn't have any more children?
No.
And that's beautiful. And what you were doing the gym, you were doing the funeral home. Did you get involved in ministry at Riverview?
No, never. I'd stopped going to Riverview at that stage, because then I decided to go to Victory Life, because that's where Brooke was going. And then when Brooke and Dan got married, I decided to go to their church.
So Dan was at Victory Life, or they just met there?
No, they just met at a conference, actually.
Dan was at Dream Life with Steve?
Yes. They just, evidently, the two of them just walked through the door and at the same time, and they had their eye on each other, and it all began from there.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you went to Dream Life?
Yeah, I did. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So I got involved in network marketing. So I took 7 years to build up.
So you sold the gym?
I had a this is incredible because I was really, really worn out and I was tired and I'd had enough.
Well, I mean, there's only so much you can work 24/7.
It was. I mean, sometimes I didn't even go to bed at night. It'd be 3 days without going to bed. And anyway,
No Red Bull,
no, I didn't get into the Red Bull. Lots of coffee.
lots of coffee, just caffeine and Coke.
And then we had a stolen car come flying through the window right into the gym and
Destroying everything?
Destroyed everything.
Insurance payout.
No, because the guy came. The guy who I was renting off, the landlord came down. He said, "Bev," he said, "you look so tired." It was 2:00 in the morning or something, and I said, "I really am." He said, "If you want to get out of your lease, I'm happy for you to do that." And it was a heritage building, and I said, "This is going to take quite a while for us to rebuild it because it's heritage." He said, "If you want to get out,
this is your chance."
This is your chance. And I said, "Okay, I'm going to take it."
So you sold the equipment?
No, I kept it all. I've still got it. I don't know who knows what's going to happen. Who knows what's going to happen?
God might want to shake some people with it.
Yeah, so I sort of was able to get out of that, and then I got involved in network marketing, and that sort of gave me a residual income.
So you were able to build that business,
I
the
was.
network marketing business.
Yeah, it took me 7 years, but yeah.
And that provides some residual income on an ongoing, still does.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now.
So it still does, and do you still have to spend a lot of time there, or
I don't spend a lot of time
more
there.
training?
More, yeah. I do a lot of Zoom trainings and do a lot of presentations via Zoom now. It's a lot different now because of COVID. We used to go and meet.
But in a way, it's good because
Great.
Now people accept. I have preachers come on Zoom, so it's fine.
I know.
I can have somebody from the States without having to fly them here.
I know. It's so good. It's
like
been a blessing.
In 2 weeks, I'm speaking in Malaysia to a massive conference. And I'm here.
I know.
I don't even have to dress up.
I know.
Just have a shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
I can change the background. I can change my face. Put a moustache on if I wanted to.
And then when we do Zooms at 2 a.m. in the morning, I just have my pajama pants on and my suit on. So
That's good.
Yeah.
Tell me about the pantry. How did that start and what happened there?
Well, Brooke and Dan were really their church had gone through a transition, and I could feel like they needed some help. So I said to them, "Look, I can come and volunteer some time, and I'll just be your go-to person. I'll run around and I'll clean and I'll do all the things that, you guys can't do." And, so they were really grateful. And at the back of the offices, there was a door that led into what is known as the pantry.
Yeah.
And I knew it was there, and I would see all these people lined up for food. And, the trouble is sometimes when you've had a dysfunctional background and gone through being a single parent, you want to leave it behind.
Yeah, you don't want to go into that environment.
I didn't want the pain again. I didn't want to think about the pain that they might be going through. So
and the
I
stories
totally
and
cut
hearing
off.
their world.
No. So I totally cut off. And I went into Dan's office and I said, and please forgive me for the people out there. Please forgive me for what I'm about to say. But I just said to Dan, all these people, I said, it's just so many people, and, you're not going to be able to help everyone. And, it's so demanding on, I said, I reckon you should close the pantry down. And Dan sort of started laughing, and he said, "Bev, as Christians, this is what we do. We give food." I
You don't have a choice.
I go, okay, I get it. And anyway, it was only 2 days later, they had a cool room out the back and it broke down. And the girl came running up and there was nobody there. The manager who was there wasn't there. And she said, "Can you help me?" So I went down into the cool room and
it stunk.
I just couldn't believe it. There was mold on the food. It was terrible. It had been down for 4 days. Anyway, I said to her, "Look, I'll help you clean it out. It's going to take us hours, but it's just you and me to do it." God said, just like you're sitting there, he said to me, "I want you to put all your time." I'm getting quite emotional, but he said, "I want you to put all your time and energy into the pantry."
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, don't be ridiculous. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I like glamour, I like makeup, I like creams, and I'm selling...
I just like to go and have coffee and anyway.
Anything but the pantry, Lord.
And anyway, but I heard it again really clearly. Oh my gosh, because I think God has got a bit of a sense of humour.
He does.
And I thought, he's just joking. And then when he said it the second time, he's not joking. This is what he wants me to do. So I raced up to see Dan. I said, oh, Dan, I said, God's just told me he wants me to put all his time and energy into the pantry. Well, he laughed so much, he had tears running down his face. He said, 2 days ago you wanted to close it. Now
Was he laughing or crying?
He just couldn't believe it. He said, how amazing God is. So I just started to go down there. I started spending 3 or 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, and then it started to be 8 hours a day. And then I was there every weekend, and then I said to my husband, we have to pull these walls down and clean it all up because I like organisation, I like systems.
Yeah.
And I said, I just want to transform the whole place. And, I said, it's going to be our money because the pantry hasn't got any money. So he said, okay. He's good like that.
Yeah.
And so we transformed it all. And then...
what does he do, by the way?
He's a truck driver.
Truck driver,
yeah.
Nice. Local or
No, he's away 1 week and home 1 week.
So he goes east?
Yeah, no, he goes to Kununurra.
Okay.
Yeah.
On big lorries?
Yeah, those big
trains,
trucks.
road trains.
And anyway, in June of last year, Dan said to me, Bev, pantry's got way too big. It's too many people are coming. There's too much. There's a traffic jam every day. And he said, we're going to have to, close it down. No, just close it down. He said, we're just going to have to close it down. And by this time, God had transformed my heart. I just loved the people coming. I was just, I don't know where I got it. God just filled me with grace that I'd never had before. And I just loved them. I just said to Dan, I just can't do that. He said, well, if you feel like you want to take it out on your own, you can. He said, but we can't really support you financially to do that. So went home to my husband again.
As you do.
And I said...
that's why you need to have a husband.
I just realised that. Yeah. And I just said, I know this. God's given me a vision. He wants me to take it somewhere else. And I said, would you be willing to, we might lose some money, we have to outlay some money, are you okay with that? And he goes, yeah, that's fine. Just if you think it's God, we'll do it. So I went back to Dan and I just said, I'm going to take it on. And anyway, that next 2 days I found a place on Delamata Road and I went up there and I just sat out the front and I was praying. And God said, this is it. It's on the hill. This is the one.
It is on the hill.
He said, because he said, it'll be on a hill. And he said, this is the one. So I went up there and I prayed for the next few months, just saying, are you sure? You ever question God, like, are you sure? Are you sure? Because I really don't want to do this. Like, there's part of me that just didn't want to do it. And I just knew that I had to do it. So when I went, the real estate agent, he was pretty abrupt. He had his arms crossed and didn't really want to sort of, deal with me. And anyway, I just said to him, oh, look, I haven't got any money, but I'll get the rent paid. You'll never have to worry about it.
So what did you tell him you were going to use
the pantry? So it's going to be pantry. It's a not-for-profit. It's going to be pantry. We're going to be, getting people, give them food hampers who are doing it tough. And he just said, look, I can't even take that to the landlord. He said he wants in a business that's been established for 4 years. And I said, well, we've been established.
What was there before?
It's been empty for 3 years. There was a curtain shop, but it had been empty for 3 years.
That's harsh.
Yeah, and he said the landlord won't look at you. And anyway,
how many square meters was it?
257.
Which is now split into two. But at the time,
And
there's no rear yard or anything like that. There's nothing at the back.
No,
just at the front of the car park.
Yeah, and I've got a bin area out the back.
Okay.
Yeah, and anyway, so I just
5-year lease or?
I didn't have anything. He wouldn't even look at me.
So was it incorporated? Did you have a business? What was it? What was the pantry? Was it an incorporated body? Or
it was underneath the umbrella of Reality
Church.
Yeah, so it's underneath an umbrella. So it's
the contract was going to be under Reality Church.
Well, I had to know because I had to do all of that again.
You had to incorporate the pantry.
I had to,
so no 4-year history.
No, I didn't have anything. Anyway, so one day I was driving out of the church. I wasn't going to give up. So I was driving out of the church and I heard God say, go right, go to Delamata Road. So I did, and the landlord was there.
Oh.
and he was doing something in the garage.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know whether you're a Christian or not. I am. I said, God's told me this is my place. And I said, the real estate agent sort of wouldn't sort of tell you about me, but I really need this place. And I said, I wish you would consider me. I said, yeah, no, I haven't got any money. I said, but I'm going to get it. It's going to come.
Yeah.
And he just looked at me as if I was a weirdo.
Well, you were.
But he said, tell me more.
Ah.
So I told him a bit more, and then I just hugged him and I said, please, I need this place. And he goes, okay, let's see what we can do. And it's sort of, the lease got drawn up and history, I'm there.
Nice.
Yeah. But I did have the vision. When I had the vision for the pantry, God gave me the vision that we would have a coffee shop and trying to be,
self-sustaining.
Yeah, we felt like we needed to do that.
I think that's very important.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I say to small ministries, small churches, you got to be self-sustaining. Tent ministry, you can only rely. You become so limited if you rely on donations.
You do,
because then you rely on that handout. So your budget is just that. You'll never go beyond.
That's right.
So you'll never step in your abilities.
That's right.
Whereas this way, you do well here, it goes well here.
It's exactly right. So, I think to rely on those things, I'm not a person who likes insecurity or instability. And I just wanted to know that money would be coming in to make it work. And I rang up my girlfriend, Dorina, and I said, I've just had a vision and you're in the coffee shop. And she goes, I'm there. She said, if you had the vision, I believe it, Bev.
This is Dorina Chrisanne?
Yeah.
Do you know that we grew up together?
She told me.
Yeah, so we grew up together. I was a youth leader for 17 years.
Wow.
So she's a product of my teaching.
I tell you,
in some capacity. But she's got lovely parents and a beautiful
amazing
husband. And so, yeah, in fact, her nephew works for us. So her sister's son works for me.
Really?
In a business in
wow.
Dutch. Yeah.
Oh, she never told me that. No.
So yeah, I've known Dorina all my life. All her life pretty much since she moved to Australia and Melbourne.
Wow.
Yeah. And with her dad, her dad was my youth leader.
Wow.
And then he handed the baton to me. So we co-worked together, and then I passed on the baton. Actually, Daniel's brother, Daniel Chrisanne's brother, Marius. Have you met Marius?
I've met all the brothers.
So Marius was my 2IC in leadership.
Oh, wow.
And then he went to Potter's House and established the Potter's House Church in Queensland, in Ipswich.
Goodness.
So he came back here. Yeah, so, Flora and all of them, they used to be in the youth. They played in the orchestra that I directed, and I taught them to play instruments, and small world.
It's just
I didn't know. Dorina told me today. I said, I asked her, she said, come in and have lunch on me at the pantry at Bill's Coffee there. I said, sure. I said, do you work there? She said, no, this is my business. It's like so I said, yeah, of course I'll come, So I wasn't aware,
Oh,
Even when I came in, I didn't know that. I thought it was the lady who was behind the counter that day.
No.
So I didn't know it was actually Dorina.
Wow.
So such a small world.
Yeah.
Did she work with you in the multi-level marketing back in the days as well?
That's how I met her.
Oh, okay. Now it all comes together. Yeah.
And isn't that funny though? Because I just, I believe just God puts us together.
Yeah.
And it might not be for the immediate.
Yeah.
But it's like long term. And so, we've been friends for a long, long time. And I sort of feel like, she's had a lot of changes going in her life.
Sure.
And the minute I rang her, though, and I just said to her, like, I forgot a vision, coffee shop, there's going to be clothes in the middle, then there's going to be the pantry. Without hesitation, she said, I'm in, and it's just been absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's...
Well, I can see when I walked in the store, with that African sort of theme.
Yeah.
And also, the presentation is just super. The sandwiches, and it's like you want to eat everything on the menu. You see them all in the fridge there, and ready to be toasted, and the coffee was good. I had a
Yeah.
cup of coffee there.
Yeah.
But then next door is where the heart of
That's
the
right.
matter is.
Yeah.
So, there's only a half wall of separation, because to the top it's
Yeah.
good. So half of this is the pantry, half of it is the business, the marketplace side
That's
of thing.
right.
But in the pantry, you take goods that you receive food, both
Receive foods from
perishable and non-perishable.
yeah, and we receive foods from Oz Harvest and Second Bite, and then we get the food in, then we pack them into hampers with fruit and veggies and bread, and if we've got meat, we give meat, or maybe dry goods, whatever we've got, and then it's a drive-through system, so people just have to drive up to the double doors, and they just pop their boot, and we just pop the food into their boot, and it's just become a very much like a community.
Yeah.
People, we, like it's how God works on us is incredible. Like He's taken, I think I was 64 when He told me to do this, and now I'm 66 now.
Young, 66-year-old,
And it
years young.
just blows me away that, sometimes when we get into our 60s, we think about our life, and I think
Life's
God
just
still
starting.
wants to use me. He wants to
It's
use
just started.
me. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, everything has deposited in you. What are you going to do with it? Take it to Pinaroo?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, how
Yeah.
many dead dreams and ideas are buried there?
Oh, absolutely.
What a waste.
It really isn't. It's like God just sort of said, not only am I going to use you at 64, but I'm going to transform you. And He truly has, like, my heart and my passion for the pantry is I want to help these people, but I just want to see them not just help with food, but in all ways, so that eventually we can help them spiritually, and just so that it's really important that even though they feel down and out, that we don't make them feel they are. So our whole mission is to show grace and to not judge. Some of these people can drive up in a $110,000 Land Cruiser, and I can hear the volunteers going, "Oh goodness, why are they here?" And as soon as I hear it, I just say, "We don't know their story."
Yeah.
And if you ask them their story, 2
You'd be
days'
shocked.
time they're going to lose that car.
Yeah.
Or and people have
Or
this,
it may not be their car, or it could be a husband's or
you
a
don't
distant
know.
cousin, or
No.
do you know what I mean?
No.
Or you never know, or maybe they're handing it over to somebody else.
And I think people are too quick to judge. And I think sometimes when
It's like you almost have a persona, like an avatar, but it's never that avatar.
it's never.
I mean, broken people are on St. George's Terrace and wearing
Absolutely.
suits and makeup and looking, spot on.
Exactly. And that's what, we have, people coming in. I think there's a misconception about who the hungry are.
Yeah.
People seem to think the hungry people are the people who don't work, who are lazy, who all these sort of labels that they put on them. And I've really tried to break that down and go, ask their stories.
Well, that's why God has called you, because you see beyond that. And not everyone can see that.
No. Well, God's given me that.
Yeah. But let me tell you something. My father was an evangelist. My grandfather was a Baptist minister. So I'm third, almost fourth generation pastor. I've done charity work as a child in Romania with Dad, going from villages, helping elderly people, visiting homes, and so on. In 1997, I began mission work overseas. I've been to over 100 nations.
Wow.
From the worst, in jungles, I'm talking, sleeping with indigenous people and just having it really tough. But also here in Australia, I mean, I've seen Food Bank, I've seen Oz Harvest, Second Bite, all these ministries. We've had a massive ministry at Churchlands. We've got a hamper ministry here. Let me tell you something. I've never seen anything that I've seen at the pantry, in the sense. I've never seen anything so organized, so clean, so well done. It spoke volumes to me. I haven't seen charity done with excellence, put it this way.
Thank you.
With dignity, with pride, healthy pride in the job. I mean, a lot of the food that is given away in many organizations like this is so off or so wasted or so ripe that the moment you touch it, you can't use it.
No,
You can
that's
probably
right.
juice it, but that's about it. But I noticed that you thrash all of that,
Yeah.
and what you put in the hamper is something that can be used, and just the way it's presented, the way it's put in the boxes, the way it's split, the way it's just generated, but then the cleanliness of the room, of the facilities, the organizing of the shelves, everything, it just speaks volumes. I think you should teach. I think you should coach, people into doing charity work. I think we don't trade them. I think we're just happy that they come along and they do it the best that they can. But we never reach for excellence.
No, and they deserve excellence.
It does.
People deserve.
God deserves, because
Oh,
we're actually
absolutely.
washing their feet. We're serving those people.
Absolutely.
So might as well do it with excellence.
Absolutely. When it was one of them. I said, if you wouldn't eat that, don't put it in
Yeah.
a box.
That's right.
And they go, oh, but they can cut that bit off and cut that bit off, and they'd have this bit.
No.
And I go, no.
You're
Seriously.
right.
I said, I don't want that. I want them to, when they get that box, go. And I always try and put in, because the kids come in the car, so we always try and I've got boxes of lollies. So as soon as I see the kids, I say, are the kids allowed to have sugar? And they go, yeah. And kids, our kids, my grandkids, are so used to getting and receiving, which is fabulous. But it's so great when and they're saying, what, can I, Mum? Oh, Mum, she's going to give me an ice cream. Mum. And it's just unbelievable. And I think that's what keeps me going, because it's not easy,
Oh,
as
no,
you know.
it's labour. I mean, you're probably there 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week.
I work 80 hours a week for free.
Hallelujah.
And there's nobody there who gets paid. So we literally all work, we're all volunteers. But 80 hours a week I put into it. But God's just given me a supernatural energy. At 66, I can run rings around some of the younger people.
That's why you don't need those big gym machines anymore. The boxes, lifting up the boxes and packing and unpacking.
It's like going to the gym every day.
More.
Free. Yeah.
Do you actually go next door to sit down and have a cuppa, or you just get the cuppa and come back?
Oh, Dorina looks after me so well. She, I've got a coffee every half minute, and she's always giving me food, and she just really, really looks after me. I don't think I hardly ever sit down in a cafe ever.
Yeah.
But when I walk through that curtain, I'm just overwhelmed, because people are coming into that place and going, there's something different about this place. I don't know whether you notice, but it just feels like.
Yeah, it's very homey.
It's just, and it's like.
I feel the same when I go to Kalahari as I do when I come into there.
Yeah. It's just
so why Bill's? Who is Bill?
It's a long story. And
okay.
Probably not interesting.
No, but I'm thinking now I'm thinking, why Bill's coffee?
Bill's Brews,
yeah. That's all right.
Man called Bill.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Australian.
Williams.
Yeah.
Bill.
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah.
So, what's next for Bev Woolhouse?
25 years ago when I first got saved, clearly I heard that God would like me to have a healing ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been not disobedient, but every time I think about it, it's just like, I can't do it. I can't do that, Lord. You're asking too much of me. But I truly believe that's he said it'd be a place on a hill.
Yep.
25 years ago he said that. It'd be a place on the hill. And I believe I want people who are coming and driving out and getting their food to come in and be able to talk to them and have a place where they can come in and have a free coffee and just start chatting with them. I just want to see if, what can happen when we, hear their stories and listen to their stories and just, say there is another way, and it's Jesus. I really believe that that's the whole idea of the pantry comes back to that. So
the pantry comes alive.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of people will get saved.
It must be more. There must be more.
There is, yeah.
This is not it.
No, it's just the beginning. So I might be 85, but I'll still be there.
Not in hours, but I'm talking ministry. There must be. You feel that there is more, don't you?
I know that there's more, and it's just now being obedient.
Mm-hmm.
I've just put in place our first June 6th, I think it is. We're going to be inviting people in and praying for them. So that's on June the 6th. So
You're inviting people in to pray for them.
yeah.
Okay.
So
You have a team there ready. A few.
we've got one person. Just starting with one person.
Hey, it's a start.
It's a start.
When is it? Or what day is it on?
The 6th of June, I think it is. It's a Thursday. Yeah, the 6th. I'm not quite. It's the first week in June. I think it's the 6th. I'm not quite sure. Could be the 4th. But yeah.
I think the 4th or the 5th is a Sunday.
Oh,
because I'm
but it's
preaching
not.
down in
Maybe it's
Margarita.
the 2nd. Yeah,
Second?
it's the first week in June on the first Thursday of June. Yeah,
It is the 2nd.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's when and
What time?
we're there from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Just a 2
So when
hour.
will the people come through?
We're just asking people from now on, if we're giving them a little flyer, just saying if you want to come in and tell us your story, have a free coffee. So we're just trying to get them into the coffee shop. And
Look, if you need me, I'll be there.
oh, thank you.
Yeah. It's going to be tight because I'm taking that Friday off. I'm taking the kids down to Margarita. But
Well, I think
that I've got
you can pray.
I have an 11 o'clock coaching session with a CEO from Romania. But I think between 10 and 10:45, I can be there.
We'll see who shows up and who doesn't and what it's going to look like.
I'll just pull them in.
Yeah.
I'll go.
Well, all I can do is say, God, this was your idea.
Yeah.
You do what you need to do.
You open the heart and the door.
Absolutely.
And I think the free coffee is an incentive.
Absolutely. And, they're just coming for free because they don't even know what they're coming into. So from then on, I just want to hear the stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then go from there.
Well, that's one thing I learned at Kingdom Stories from Down Under.
Oh,
to
yeah.
listen, to hear stories.
Absolutely, here we are.
I think this was episode 80 something, so it's good.
Very good listening.
I love it. I said to Paul is behind the cameras, I said to him recently, I said, do you know how privileged we are? We've listened to over 80 stories firsthand from people. I mean, I said, most people in their lifetime don't hear these stories. I mean,
absolutely.
For me, it's a privilege to do this, and for him as well, just to sit here, you grow so much with these stories, and it's honoring to the person as well who's sharing it. It's beautiful. We learn through stories, and I think people don't have anywhere to share their stories. A lot of these people, they need someone to talk to.
I really think that people now just don't think people care enough. Especially these people, because they feel judged.
Yes,
and
they are.
They are.
They don't just feel it; they actually are.
They are. And I mean, the people who are coming are like the other day. A lady came and she lost her job. Her husband got sick. He lost his job and was in hospital for 6 months.
Yeah.
They've got 5 foster kids.
Wow.
And they're just doing.
It's like you
tough.
want to take the hamper to them every day.
Yeah, well, I said to her, just come every day if you need to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, 5 kids
Absolutely.
is a lot. Foster kids,
Yeah. Amazing.
So there are stories out there, and I just think it's time that they get a chance to share them, and then we get a chance to share how possibly, we know that Jesus Christ can make a difference.
I've got people in our church, and I hope they don't mind me saying this, but they used to be at Churchlands, then they followed me at Wangara, they followed me here, and they come every Sunday night because we serve a hot meal every Sunday night.
Yeah.
After the service, we have a meal together as a church family. And I know one of them doesn't want to become a Christian. He's totally against Christianity, but he'll come, listen to the sermon, he'll compliment me on the tone of my voice, on my etiquette, on this, like public speaking, and then he'll have a meal. And I asked him one night, I said, look, can I ask why you're still here? I know you don't want to become a Christian, you told me.
Yeah.
And I understand, is it just the meal? He said, Natanael, it is the meal because this is the nicest meal I get because it's home cooked.
Yeah.
It's a really nice meal. He said, Natanael, but it's not just that. He said, I'm lonely.
Yeah. It's a big, big problem. Yeah.
And then I realized that his story is real, and there are many people like that. They need a place where they can just be with people at the table.
Absolutely.
It's not
Yeah.
just being with people, hi, shake hands before
Yeah.
church, after
Yeah.
church, and that's it. But there's something about being at the table, eating and having a conversation.
I agree. It's well, we know that one of the biggest problems is loneliness, and
And these, like a man, he doesn't cook much.
no,
So when he comes, the hampers are wonderful, but also a cooked meal, even if it's only once a week, it's a massive bonus.
absolutely. Do you
You
ever
know.
wonder what God's got planned though?
Oh, I'm sure he'll be saved. I'm sure he'll be
It's
saved.
like,
I told him.
you can just see God's
Yeah.
sense of humor. Yeah, he's just coming for the meal. And you just
Yeah.
sort of see what's going to evolve from that. It
Yeah.
I always just see that big picture, and I just think, wow, what a story that man's going to have.
That's right.
Yeah,
Nothing. I mean, you can't plant the seed and not. I mean, there's so much watering.
Yeah.
Eventually, you can't help but pop out of the.
something's going in, whether he thinks it is
Yeah.
or not. Yeah, yeah.
It's good to see that you have a heart for this and also a heart for the future, and that you want their holistic restoration. You want their healing, and to support also the ministry with Brooke and Dan. It's beautiful. You've inspired me, and you've inspired me from the moment I met you at the pantry and with the business next door. Now that I know that Dorina's there, I'm gonna make it a common practice to come and visit more often. Maybe we can extend the ministry into our church as well. But beyond that, I am just grateful to know you as a person, and I'm sure you've inspired many people out there with your story. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
What a story, eh? I bet you didn't see that coming. Well, I didn't see that coming either. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I really pray that this blesses you and this inspires you and, just ignites you to do something amazing for God. It's never too late, whether you're in your 60s, 50s, 40s, even 70s or 80s. Just know that when you channel your energy and your passion into the assignment that God has for your life in this season, you will see God's blessing, and that ministry will just flourish, and you will bless many, many people. Also, if you're in Perth, do check out the pantry in Wangara, De La Matra Road, and support this ministry. Find out how you can support it by volunteering, by donating, even by distributing goods. Just become a partner in some way and bless this amazing ministry, the pantry in Wangara. Thank you so much. We hope to see you next time at Kingdom Stories from Down Under. I am Natanael, Costea.
Thank you for joining us on Kingdom Stories from Down Under. We'd love it if you would subscribe, rate, and share these stories with your wider community. And remember, every story is worth sharing, including yours.